Okay, this is a continuation of the last tutorial that I did on linking up audio. And I said that after we've done linking up this audio, we were then going to work on getting a picture-in-picture effect. Okay, so we're going to do that. First, I'm just going to hide the top track here. This is the 360 footage that we were trying to link up to the other footage, which is quite literally a camera on my horse's face. Now, the first thing that we need to do is change our sequence. So over on, this is our source and this is our program monitor, this one in the middle now. As you can see, it's a 4:3. So whatever unit we think about, if this is 4 inches or 4 feet or 4 meters or whatever, this will be 3. So it's a 4:3. What we want is a 16:9. So this footage over here is 16 units and 9 down. So that's what we want. We want a 1920 by 1080 sequence. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust our sequence real quick in our sequence settings. Always make sure you've selected your sequence first down there. And it's right now at 4:3, 4,000 by 3,000. So we're just going to change that, 1920 by 1080. And I'm happy with that, so hit OK. And we can see we're kind of zoomed in because the footage is, it's much higher resolution. So we're going to just scale this down. And I've just got this in my, my effects, effect controls. I've got them in the middle. You might have them somewhere else on your screen. This is where I have mine. And I think it's 40, yeah, it's 48. So 48% of my original footage is what's going to fill the frame on the left and right side. And if we move this up and down, we can see that we've got some extra footage there. So a lot of times I'll take footage in 4:3 and then I will place it later depending on where my camera is. I might want those extra pixels up high or down low. And in this case, I'm going to take the high pixels because it's on the horse's face. And she's likely going to be looking down a lot more. So I'll keep them up high. So say even in here, if we look at it, if I took this down here, then I would be seeing more path than sky. I kind of like that it's a little bit brighter, so I might just pick somewhere in here and take a look. We're going to take a ride. Let's take a ride down this pathway. Now, we've already synced up our 2 clips, so we should be able to tell when we turn on our 360 footage that it is the same. And I'm just going to bring this to about 50% of its size. This is a is it 5.7 or 4K? How big is this? 4K. So we can see here it's 3840 by 1920, which is 4K footage, or close to it. And it's not quite 4K. So what we want to do, or is it? It is 4K, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make a picture-in-picture effect. But the first thing that we need to do is change this 360 equirectangular footage to normal footage. So we're going to do that with our GoPro FX Reframe plugin, and that makes it quite small. Why does that happen? So we're going to take a look inside of here. We can see that in the GoPro FX Reframe plugin settings in here that it's set to 16:9, 1920 by 1080. Okay, so that's pretty normal. We could also set it to be 4K, which will make it bigger. But we're just going to set it to 1920 because the thing that we want to do anyways is make it small and sort of sit down in the bottom corner. So let's let that render. There we go. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to make this even smaller. So we're just going to go up to the scale of the clip, and instead of 50, let's go down to say 30 and see what that does. And this is a lot of footage to look at, especially for my machine, which isn't the best machine around. So now we've got this small one here, and we're just going to use the position and bring it down. Oops, not that far down. Bring it up. Right over to, let's use our safe margins. And if you don't see these lines that you see on my program monitor here, you can just click this here, and this is our safe margins. If you don't even see this icon in here, you can hit this plus sign here, and you can find it in here and just drag it down. So this gives me these little lines. I really like having them. And we're going to use the position to move it over a bit. And wait for that to start moving. It's a little bit slow. That's the way it goes. And you don't have the best computer around. Because it takes a lot of computing power to get 360 footage to be reframed. I'm going to move this over maybe there, not 140. We're going to go 1400. And hopefully this updates. Pretty slow, unfortunately. And I've even brought my resolution down to a quarter. And what I could also do is actually bring this down to say 50%. And what it'll do is it'll tell Premiere to just render or show on the screen less pixels, less things to kind of think about. So we'll give that a second. Okay, so Premiere's finally come back, started working. What I ended up having to do is actually hide my 4K footage and move this over. And it's, now that that's hidden, look at this. This moves really, really cleanly. So what I want to do is I just want to bring it over to here and just shove it over just so it kind of just sits on the corner of those two. I think that's pretty good. We actually might move it over a little bit more, maybe to there, somewhere that's even with the bottom. That's about right. And then what we can do is go down to our reframe plugin. And you guys have seen this before. You haven't seen the tutorial yet on reframing 360 footage, then I encourage you to check that out. The link will be in the description below. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pan over until I can see me. So, and then we'll tilt it downwards, right about like that. And that will give us, if we fit this here, you can see I'm going to be down here, and if we quickly show my 4K footage, her viewpoint will be there. And this is a handy way, we just play this through a little bit, you can see what the horse is seeing, and we can also see me. And I think this is a really cool feature to be able to do. And not only can I do that, I can actually even make another view if I wanted to. We're not going to. We can make another view with a 360 footage and do a completely different spot. Like I could do maybe looking beside us or something like that, or having the horse's head in the shot while we look at what she's looking at. And these kinds of features are actually really, really cool. But my point is that what we can do is we can just set this up to be on me, like so. And then as we ride around, so we'll just keep on moving around a little bit. And actually what we'll do, just to make this quicker, is I'll hide my 4K footage for the time being. And we're going to set our reframe plugin animation for the pan and the tilt. And what that's going to do, just in case we need to tilt it all and pan, we're definitely going to have to pan because of the way 360 footage works. It doesn't rotate with us. It stays centered on the position that it ever started with. So if we move, the footage moves with it, essentially. So it doesn't stay pinned on the target. We actually have to do that later, which is what we're doing here. So I'm just going to wait for this to hide. Okay, so it's hidden now. And we can see that the place that I moved to, I'm not centered on me. So we're just going to go to that keyframe there and just pan this over right about to about center. I think the tilt is good. And then we just kind of, this is the tedious process of working with 360 footage, is essentially you have to kind of move around the timeline like this and setting up your pan and your tilt as you go. And that will obviously set, it'll reframe. So we just move this to their center again. And I think the tilt is fine, so we'll leave that and we'll come along a little bit more. And my computer is going excessively slow right now. I think it's because I have Photoshop running at the same time. And that is a tough nut to crack there. Photoshop uses up a lot of resources, but this is what you do. You just kind of go along and reframe, and you get that picture-in-picture effect. We're going to move this over a little bit more and finish just this one little bit. Just finish this one. We're only going straight down the way here, so it shouldn't fall too far off. Center me again, and a little further, and maybe back a little bit, yeah, somewhere in there. And then we can kind of play this through, so, and see if I stay centered. Now, it would be really handy if the camera itself just did that job, but it doesn't, so we have to manage that here. So this is how we're going to get a picture-in-picture effect. So if I turn this one on, we can see that both the horse's viewpoint and me are showing up at the same time. And I find that feature pretty darn cool, the way we kind of overlay a video on top of another and get a really interactive sort of viewpoint of what's going on while doing something else. So that is a GoPro on a horse. This footage here is GoPro in my hand of a 360 camera. And we get both of them as a picture-in-picture effect for a video, which is pretty, I think it's pretty interactive. I think it's pretty neat. So hopefully that's been interesting, and I will see you guys in the next one.